Well, welcome back. Paul Frimpong, who is a chartered economist and African affairs analyst, is joining us on today's big story so we can angle out the African dimension to this whole EPA debate. And if you just joined us on today's big story, what we've been talking about is the fact that government might soon sign the economic partnership agreement with the European Union, which proponents say have immense benefits to the African continent, against those who are against it, who say that it might lead to quite a number of things, including job losses. So, good evening, sir, Paul Frimpong, and thanks for joining us on today's big story.
All right, good evening.
So, EPA, ECOWAS, I mean, how beneficial is this to the wider ECOWAS front, considering that, I mean, trade between ECOWAS member states itself has not been exactly good. So, if EPA comes in, where are we going to stand?
Yes, obviously, when you look at the economic partnership agreement between these two parties, which is the ECOWAS on one front and then the EU on the other side, why cannot wholly say that it is not good for us? Because we can look at the wider market access to the European market, which when you do proper integration of this wider market, as they say, then you come back to realize that indeed there's no really something in there that we are actually benefiting from. I'll give you a reason why I'm saying this. Now, we rightly say that trade between member countries is very, very low compared to other parts of the world. When you go to Europe itself, because these markets are very, very integrated, rather than trade among members down around 50 to 60%. When you go to America, it's around 40%. You go to Asia, it's around 50%. When it comes to Africa, trade between member countries just around 10%, which is not good. Because of that, we are not able to get what we really want, because you get everything and you get to the market out there, and it's been determined by the powers that be over there. So you don't really have a say in terms of determining global market price. So we always lose on that front. So what the agenda has been for the past 50 years is to try, a number of institutions have been established to ensure that member countries are able to trade among themselves, which is very good, because look at how over 300 million people on the ECOWAS region can be able to trade among them, which is not happening now.
So Paul, your argument is simple, that this, if it is signed, if ECOWAS signs and if Ghana signs, will lead to greater benefits for trade between Africa, ECOWAS states and Europe. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say that, yeah, in essence, it's going to increase our market access to the European market, which is good. But then now, what we are trying to do is that, is it going contrary to what we've been aiming to do, or it is in line with what we are trying to do? You understand? Because now, our agenda for the past 50 years, as I started by saying, is basically focused on how we be able to trade among ourselves, not how we're able to increase our trade with the other markets. You understand? In any case, for the past 50 years, we've been trading with these people, as we call our traditional partners, trading partners, which is good. But now you saw the emergence of other alternative markets, okay, like the Asian market, led by China, for instance, which really helped Africa to rebound back after the 2007-2008 global financial crisis. If it had not been this market, when there was fumbling going on in this European and the American market, these were the market that helped Africa to rebound back, that we saw the double-digit growth in many African countries, including Ghana in 2011, around 12%, 13%, which was quite tremendous. So what I try to look at is that, fine, give us access to a wider market, around 500 million people or so. But then, really, when you look at it, it says that we are going to trade between these two parties. It's mostly going to be raw material led,
right,
which is something that we are fronting on, something that we want to change. There's so many people talking about paradigm shifting, where Africa will be able to add value to whatever we produce in this part of the world. Yet, if you go into this partnership, it's going to be it's a sharp therapy. It's more of going to tighten your hands in order of your industrial policy, in terms of industrializing your economy, because you are always going to export your raw material, which is something that you do not want to do.
Right. So, Paul, if we look at ECOWAS, and we look at the Southern African region, this agreement will be an agreement between European Union and ECOWAS. What about the other blocks, the Eastern, Western, and Southern blocks of Africa? How are they going to also access the European market? Would they do that under different trade agreements?
Not really. I'm sure, of course, there might be some directions in the EPA between the ECOWAS region and But on the other front, I'm sure most of the elements we see in this agreement will be present as well, in terms of most of the clauses in there, which when you look at the clauses, really you realize that it's not going to help us in any way. And a lot of people have tried to justify it by most of the things that we see in this agreement is mostly in line with the WTO agreement. But when you look at the WTO rules, some of them are not really there, which they've tried to bring in there and justify.
Does this suggest that the AU possibly has failed? I mean, we haven't heard an AU joint position on this since the whole deliberation started.
Yeah, actually, on one front, you can say that that's why strategically it isn't in full in terms of trying to negotiate on one front on that side. That's why they've categorized the agreement in terms of regional blocks, because they didn't want to face the AU as a whole. They don't want to make it blocks because there are some regional differences. As I said, most of the elements here will be present in other blocks, but then you might find some differences in terms of because there are market differences. You understand? So they try to negotiate according to the blocks, which have similarities, which have a lot of agreements that they are onto. Because when it comes to ECOWAS as a sub-region, we have so many agreements, trade agreements that we sign on to as members, which might be different from what the commercial region might have signed on to, different from what the Southern African countries might have signed on to. So when you get fronts which have more similarities, you'll be able to negotiate with them very easy to do it. That's what you're doing from there.
Yeah, Paul, I'm very grateful for your time on today's Big Story. I'm afraid that's all time will allow us for, and this is how we wrap on Big Story. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with the interactive segment, and we're grateful to the production team. Famous's mother, Angela, also is her birthday today. Famous wants to say happy birthday, Mom. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with the interactive segment. Stay.